Hello, beautiful people. Dr. Gilmore from the beach here. Hopefully you can hear me well. I'm going to try to keep this in front of my face so that you can hear me, but there is something on my mind that I want to talk about because I made a Facebook post about gabapentin and people that take it, and had a comment from a dear friend of mine about fibromyalgia, and it just got me thinking, because this person is probably one of the strongest people that I know mentally, and I want to come to you with this message unfiltered, raw, and unscripted, for fear of being seen. We're just going to start putting content like this out there because I think that somebody needs to hear this out there, and it might be this person, it might be somebody different. So hear me out, comment below if you resonate with what I'm about to say. Because this, I think, is something that plagues more people than we want to talk about nowadays. And I'll share a story with you, because if you don't know, my story started with a car accident. It started with getting thrown out of a car when I was in high school. And, the pain really, it came on then, but the revelations and the intense pain that I was having didn't come on until I was probably at one of the most stressful times in my life, which was chiropractic school, oddly enough. The thing that we're trying to do, that we're trying to better ourselves and, help other people. And you're trying to get through an insane amount of credit hours, because they cram like what should be a 5 to 6 year program into 3.5 years, plus internships if you're a chiropractor, and, dealing with family and sometimes pregnancy for me, like in the last trimester. And, I hit a point where, at that time, I thought I was strong. I'd been bodybuilding. People that know where I'm coming from with that, you can laugh with me there. It's a different type of strength. And, the stress was really high. The school load was high. We probably took, I remember at one point, I think I counted 11 exams in 1 week or something, maybe 17 at one point. Studying for boards at the same time and all sorts of stuff, right? So in school, I got to the point where I was having in between a 5 level pain was normal for me. And remember, I've been thrown out of a vehicle. When I got the tattoo on the back of my neck, people asked me about it and they're like, "Oh, did that hurt?" And I'm like, "No, I fell asleep." Pain for me is something that doesn't usually bother me, right? But the pain had gotten so bad that I couldn't even sit through a class. I couldn't concentrate. I was very negative. I actually remember a friend of me coming up to me in one of my classes, like very, very early on when I was struggling with this pain and I wasn't really talking about it much to people, and telling me that I needed to smile more. And oh my God, did that set me off. And I put all of these things together when I've been developing this system, right? And I've talked to a lot of people about this, but if you don't know, when I introduce myself, I'm Dr. Rachel Gilmore. I'm a resiliency activator. I help you and your loved ones or people that you might know develop the strength and resiliency that's deep inside of you, so that you can get to the potential of God in your life, whatever that is, whether that's sales, business, family, physical workouts, or all of the above, your health, or anything. We can apply it to everything. So you can call me a life transformation coach if you want to. It doesn't really matter titles to me nowadays. I've got a God-given message, and that's what I'm here to share. That's where I come from now. But I came from a place of severe pain and severe hurt and habits that I'm not proud of at that point in time, and habits that almost destroyed my marriage. And, this is something that my husband and I have worked through, right? We're not going to talk about that much today, but just know that, when I say I had an 8 level pain most days, the stress was high. My reactions were not great. I was mad all the time. I was trying to take it out on myself, working out 5 to 6 days a week, doing, multiple sports at one point in time. And, I remember one point in the gym where I was boxing and I was in tears because I had gotten myself to such a point, and I left the gym and I was more mad than I got there. How do you get to this point in your life? How does this relate to fibromyalgia? How does this relate to chronic pain, right? Because one of the things that I've figured out, and let's just talk about this for a second. Fibromyalgia, like other syndromes, is a syndrome. It's a diagnosis of exclusion. It is what happens when the brain starts centralizing pain and sending out chaotic signals to the body. And they just so happen to follow a pattern, so they become a diagnosis that they can then prescribe medication for. My medical doctors out there, neurologists, or people, I'm giving a very, very, very brief description of this. And we can go into more detail about this because I know a lot, but I'm always learning. So if you've got something to share in the comments, please share it below. Please share it below. Let's give us some insight here. Let's all learn and grow together. So when I explain this to my patients, you know, we talk a lot about allostatic load and how the body just gets to a point where it's just done. You know, it's just done. And you don't just have chronic pain out of nowhere with no inciting factor. Like, it's not like I got thrown out of a car when I was in when I was in chiropractic school. It had happened years before that. And, you know, I got to a point where my body was done. It was done. So it starts sending you these pain signals and saying, hey, I need you to pay attention. There's something you need to see here. And that's been a big theme for me lately, is seeing things. I recorded a video yesterday and my eyes have been bloodshot for the past week, right? The eye doctors don't know what it is. There's seemingly no cause to it, right? And I'm walking over here. I'm in front of a house right now, so, and I don't know that I'm actually able to walk down here, but hopefully, we live down here, so hopefully it's not private property, but it might be. So, your body doesn't just send out these chaotic signals for nothing, guys. Your body doesn't just scream at you and tell you to stop with pain because of nothing. I mean, if it's an injury, an athletic injury or something like that, then yeah, okay, that's acute pain, right? But when it's chronic and it seems to come out of nowhere and you just wake up with it one day, you didn't just wake up with it. And we're not going to get into all of the pain things right now, but that's something that I've found in my short career working with chronic pain all the time. That's true every single time. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. And we mentioned allostatic load earlier, and I hope this is making sense. I'm just kind of riffing here with you guys. So like I said, if you're following me right now and you've been with me this far, you're listening still, drop me a comment and let me know if you resonate with any of this, or if you've been there, We can all learn and grow together. And your body's allostatic load is the potential that you have to tolerate all the stress in your life. And stress can be physical, mental, work, family, finances, you know, the levels of nutrients and things in your body, the type of fuel that you're putting in, you know, all sorts of stuff. So I just listed some good and some potentially bad things. Work stress, friend stress, drama, all of those things, everything goes into that, right? And I tell my patients, there comes a certain point in time where when your body starts talking to you and it gives you like some tightness and, you know, maybe an injury and, you know, some weaknesses in certain areas and things like that, right? You go through, you know, you may go to the doctor, you may go to the chiropractor, you may get it resolved and, you know, it seems to kind of go away. And then, you know, it compounds and you get a little bit more, maybe you get some dull pain, maybe it comes back, you know, and you keep going in this cycle, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, until one day your body has had enough of you doing the same thing and not taking care of the underlying issues. And those underlying issues, what I found from my personal experience, stems from awareness. I like to talk about that a lot. But it also stems from the underlying things that we haven't resolved yet. The childhood trauma, the emotional toll that your life has taken on you and that you haven't resolved, the hurt that we feel from other people that we haven't processed, because every time your body goes through something like that, or your brain, you go through something like that, your body remembers it. Your brain remembers it, really. And what did we say earlier about fibromyalgia? We said that it's a diagnosis of exclusion, and that it's when your brain centralizes pain and starts sending out those chaotic signals, right? So the allostatic load, imagine it's a cup, and I don't have a cup, but the cup gets so full and it can't hold anymore. But you have more stress coming into your life. Like I said, this person I'm thinking about is one of the toughest people. I never thought I would hear him say that, but I'm out here walking on the beach telling you this because the message needs to be shared. People need help, obviously, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to light the fire in you that you know you have. I knew I had it. But when I was in the midst of it, I thought the coping mechanisms were working, you know? Just beat it down, just keep boxing through it, just, you know, keep getting mad, keep lashing out. Yeah, I did all of those things. And, you know, bearing it to you is hard. I'm going to post this, and man, my fingers are probably going to be trembling when I click post. But that's okay. Like I said, somebody needs to hear this. So, you know, how did I come back from the place that I was in, you know, almost a broken marriage, you know, I wasn't failing classes or anything. I was actually doing good with that. But everything inside was kind of falling apart. I didn't know who I was, really was doubting, you know, my self-confidence was in the tank, even though nobody probably thought that on the outside. That's what was inside. I was unhappy, thought I was distracted, enjoying the distractions, you know, it's just a lot of stuff, right? And for risk of going around in circles, let's go back to the pain and, you know, how we come out of that. Well, one thing that I learned really was that I had to start taking away things. And this is like fast forward through like the next like 5 years. I'm trying to save you some time here. I'm trying to save you time. Oh my gosh, look at this house. I don't know if you can see it, but let's see. I don't know if you can see it, but man, it's pretty. And look at this. Check it out. It's amazing. Like this. I'm down here on my own, probably on private property. And there's nothing around me. There are things around me, right? But the thing that I've learned, that I've taken away from all of this, especially because I still catch myself in, you know, lack of awareness, saying things that may be a little rude to my husband, or, you know, working too hard, right? You know, getting stuck in work, using that as a distraction, you know, instead of feeling things. And I'm better for it now, but we're not perfect, you know. I'm not perfect all the time. And one of the main things that I've learned is, you know, when pain screams at you for no apparent cause, or when it's something like centralized pain going through your body and medications aren't helping, that's a stress response. That's your body screaming at you, your mind screaming at you to listen. To listen, I guarantee you there's something you're not feeling. I guarantee you. I tell people that, you know, less is more. Start with the deep breathing, man. Start with the... Let's go walk by the water. There's nobody down there. Start with the simple things. Let's start to take away some of the things. You know, if you've got this complicated, because I used to think I needed this complicated ass routine. Like I was listening to this athlete one day talk about this, you know, I don't know, it took him like 2.5 hours, and I'm like working at the time. I have a, you know, a baby, a husband, we just moved, like, you know, all this stuff, right? I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to do that? You know, you're comparing yourself, right? Strip that away. You don't need anything crazy. You don't need a cold plunge every day. You don't need to, you know, drink a smoothie with 20 ingredients. Like, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. We need to start simple. Simple breathing and feeling. Like last night I got in the tub and just sitting there watching something I enjoy for a bit, turned it off, and just sat with some of the things I'm feeling right now. Some of the uncertainty, you know, the in-between, the things that are going on that I haven't wanted to feel lately. Things like that. Those are the things that are going to start to reduce the pain. And also continuing activity, but making sure you get enough recovery time. Oh my gosh, I cannot emphasize this one enough. This is one thing I learned through bodybuilding is, and boxing 6 days a week, I might have looked fit on the outside, but man, fast forward a couple years later, you know, I felt like I was having some serious health problems, like mainly really allergy flares and stuff for me, but stuff like that starts with that and it turns into autoimmune stuff later on. You gotta minimize the amount of risk, because guess what? God didn't ask you to take all this baggage with you, guys. He really didn't. He really didn't. All right, isn't it beautiful? One of the reasons why we live down here. He didn't ask you to take all of these things with you and carry this like a freaking badge of honor. You can give it to him. All a God, spirit, purple monkey, dishwasher, whatever you want to say. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. My beliefs do the same thing that yours do, right? At least that's what I believe, because I know that it really comes from a deep-rooted existentialism that people stand on for their beliefs anyways. I do, but I'm not afraid of dying, right? We can talk about that later. Topic for another video. But we got to tear away some of the things, you know? Tear away some of the things you don't need. Reduce the, like if it's, you know, something that you can't change. Let's talk about that. I'm in a situation right now that I can't change, right? But what can I control on a daily basis? I can control what I do, how I react, what I think, what I speak, how I feel, what I process, what I pray, what I focus on, the time that I spend away from this stupid device in my hand, which I love because I can talk to you guys. But it's simple things, guys. My system that I've built that will be brought to you soon. And if you're interested beforehand, you call me or DM me, send me a comment. This is going to be on YouTube. Comment below and we'll talk. We'll go ahead and start one-on-one because it's not complicated. It's not. It's really not. It's work. It's work. Trust me. Feeling the things that were deep down inside behind the coping mechanisms that I used, the numbing out, the distractions. There's something deep inside, man. And did you see my shoulders rising just then? I don't know if you did, but I could feel it. The awareness of things like that. The awareness of, when I'm stressed, my breath getting faster and faster. That comes from like when I didn't know why my heartbeat was so fast. I was working out, almost passed out, almost blacked out the first time I realized it. Clocked my heart rate over 200 and was like, what is going on right now? I didn't find out about that until years later because I didn't go see anybody, right? Hole in my heart, okay? Causes an extra ventricular contraction, but it sends me into a high heart rate most of the time. But I'm able to box and control the breathing. How? Because I pay attention to it and I slowly, deepen the breath. I slow myself down. Did you see what I did there with my voice? I was getting so amped and so heated, but I was very easily able to modulate that. Man, used to, I would just yell. Because you want to feel the yell that comes out and it becomes an addiction. And we kind of went a little far on this video today, guys. If you're still with me, thanks for hanging with me. But at the end of the day, things like fibromyalgia aren't just there. They aren't just there. There's no cause. According to some people, the cause is allostatic load that is too much for your body and your mind to bear, so it goes into a state of overstimulation. There's a really simple way to explain that. And I may do a follow-up video with a little bit more information, right, if I go research some stuff and find out some more. But every fibromyalgia case that I've had that we slowly expose to activity, we talk about the stressors and the management in their life, and I can give you a case that relates because one of my cases is a seizure case and that I'm managing right now, and his body was going into an actual shutdown, freeze state because, and I did another video about this, the previous video actually about labels. The story is in there if you want the full story. And he, was having absent seizures. And we're going to get a brain scan, don't worry. Like if medicine is necessary, I do use medical intervention. And with simple tools, and y'all, it's hot out here. And I'm walking through just regular sand. We just use simple tools and breathing and awareness. And he's allowed me to talk about his trauma periodically and things like that have come up in his life and relate it to him being in medical school right now. But he's so smart. He does some of the most things that I've seen, just like this other person that I mentioned, like something's happening. Oh, never mind. The flyer planes with the signs. But it's been simple things. Vagus nerve techniques like massage on the vagus nerve. We can talk about that with the gua sha tool, chiropractic. Giving attention to the problems that we don't want to talk about with anybody. Actually bringing it to surface and talking to somebody that you trust. Because somehow God has allowed me the time in this very fast-paced clinic that I'm in to talk to him. And to be there for him. And to talk about some of these things. You gotta feel it, guys. You have to feel it to heal it. It doesn't mean you have to get stuck in it, and it doesn't mean that it has to overwhelm you, because believe me, you can ask for help. Things like fibromyalgia don't just happen. It doesn't just happen, guys. Things like chronic pain, chronic fatigue syndrome, lupus, you name it. Any autoimmune condition doesn't just happen. And most of them aren't genetic. But they can be remedied through simple lifestyle changes. Simple awareness, simple techniques, simple things that you can do in your life that will make a massive difference in the mindset that you have, because I guarantee you, if you're watching this video and you're still with me, you've got that resiliency deep inside of you. You do. I know you do. You've got the wherewithal. You've got the strength. I don't have to convince you of that. All I have to do is remind you that your nervous system is also very strong. It has the power to fight the darkness within. And if you're with me and a believer through God, if you're not, that's okay. Just leave it at your nervous system. Let it sit. Let that sit with you. Did you see how calm I got when I said that? There's a true deep knowing of that inside. And if you need help with this, let me know. Because I truly believe everybody out there has a chance. Now, whether you take it or not, whether you watch this video and actually take into consideration some of the things I've said and ask for more, or look it up, or take it upon yourself to make some changes, because I guarantee you, if you don't change the way that you're thinking day to day, and you don't change the thought processes and the things that are going into your mind and the way you handle the stress and the awareness you have around it and your responses, you see where I'm going with this, then it's going to continue to get worse. And the doctors are not going to have an answer. I'm the one that sees cases that 13 providers can't put a diagnosis to, that 13 providers haven't been able to resolve, that surgeries can't fix, the pain that people come to me with, that nobody knows what's going on. They don't find anything on imaging. I'm that person, and I'm here to help light the fire in you. And if you need help with this, you let me know, okay? Drop a comment below, like and subscribe for more. I'm gonna go get back to my family and this beautiful weather that we have right now. We'll talk soon, my friends. Bye-bye.